You've probably heard people casually mention Kegel exercises, maybe in a joke, maybe in a random fitness tip. But here's the truth. Nobody really explains properly. Most men have absolutely no idea how to actually do them correctly. And even worse, they don't realize how much they're leaving on the table by ignoring them. Because what if I told you? The difference between weak erections and rock-solid ones. The difference between finishing too fast and having full control. The difference between okay sex and unforgettable sex could literally come down to a group of muscles you've never consciously trained in your life. I'm Dr. Chloe Anderson, and welcome back to Real Talk Bedroom. And today, we're going to unlock something that most men completely overlook. But the men who do understand it, they quietly dominate in the bedroom. Not because of tricks, not because of pills, but because they've built control from the inside out. So let me ask you something first. Have you ever finished peeing, walked away, and then suddenly felt that annoying little dribble? Or maybe you've noticed your erections aren't as strong as they used to be. Or maybe you feel like you don't have full control when things get intense. Most guys think these are just normal, something you accept with age, stress, or lifestyle. But what if that's not true? What if your body is actually telling you something very specific, something fixable? And that's where this gets interesting. Because hidden at the base of your body is a group of muscles called your pelvic floor. You can't see them. You don't train them in the gym. Nobody ever taught you how to use them. But they are directly responsible for some of the most important functions in your life. Your bladder control, your sexual performance, your erection strength, your ejaculation control, even the intensity of your orgasms. Let that sink in for a second. Now imagine having all of that controlled, strengthened, and optimized. That's what we're talking about today. But here's the twist. Most men think Kegels are just about squeezing something down there. That's exactly why they fail, because they're either doing it wrong or not doing it at all. And if you do this wrong, you can actually make things worse. Yeah, nobody tells you that part. So before we even talk about how to do them, you need to understand what you're actually working with. Picture this. Your pelvic floor is like a hammock, stretching from your tailbone to your pubic bone. It's holding up your bladder, your prostate, your rectum. Now, imagine that hammock getting weak over time. What happens? Things start to lose support, control slips, signals get weaker, and when it comes to sex, that's where you feel it the most. Because erections are not just about blood flow. They're about trapping that blood. And your pelvic floor muscles are a huge part of that mechanism. When those muscles contract properly, they help keep blood inside the penis. Stronger contraction, stronger erection, weaker contraction, weaker erection. It's that simple. And yet, almost nobody trains this. Now, here's where things get really interesting, because when researchers actually studied men who trained these muscles properly, the results weren't just small improvements. We're talking about real, noticeable changes. Men regaining erectile strength, men improving control, men reducing that post-urination dribble, men lasting longer. But here's the part most people don't tell you. These results didn't come from doing random squeezes here and there. They came from doing it correctly, consistently, and with awareness. So now the real question becomes, are you even activating the right muscles? Because this is where 90% of men mess up. Let me show you how to actually find them. And I want you to really pay attention here. Because once you feel this correctly for the first time, everything changes. There are a few ways to identify the right muscles. The most common one you've probably heard is, try to stop your urine midstream. Now listen carefully. This is only for identification. Do not make a habit of doing this while peeing. But if you've ever tried to stop the flow, that muscle you used, that's part of your pelvic floor. Another way to feel it, imagine you're trying to stop passing gas. Yeah, not glamorous, but effective. That subtle lift, that internal tightening, that's the area you're targeting. And here's a third one that really works for a lot of guys. Imagine your body reacting to freezing cold water, that reflex, where everything tightens and lifts upward. That's the exact sensation you're aiming for. Now here's the key. When you activate these muscles, nothing else should be moving. Your abs should stay relaxed. Your glutes shouldn't clench. Your thighs shouldn't tighten. If they are, you're doing it wrong. And this is where most men go off track. They start squeezing everything, thinking more effort equals better results. But this isn't about brute force. It's about precision, control, awareness. Now let's talk about how to actually train this properly, because this is where you start building real results. If you're just starting out, you don't need anything complicated. In fact, simple is better. Start lying down. Why? Because your body is more relaxed, and you're less likely to compensate with other muscles. Now take a deep breath in, slowly breathe out, and as you exhale, gently contract your pelvic floor. Think of it like flicking a switch on, then off. Don't hold it. Just contract, release. That's 1 rep. Now do it again and again. Focus on quality, not strength, not speed, just clean, controlled contractions. Start with 10 reps. That's it. Then do another 10 later in the day and another 10 at night. 30 reps total. That's your starting point. Now here's where patience comes in, because you're not going to feel like a superhero after day 1. These muscles have probably been ignored your entire life, so give them time. But if you stay consistent, something starts to happen. You begin to feel the contraction more clearly. It becomes easier to activate, stronger, more controlled. And then, without even realizing it, you start noticing changes. Better control in the bathroom, less dribbling, stronger erections, more confidence during sex. And here's something most guys don't expect: more intense orgasms. Because those same muscles, they're the ones contracting during climax. Stronger muscles, stronger contractions, stronger experience. Now, let me tell you something important, because this part gets ignored way too often. Not everyone should jump straight into Kegels. If you already have pelvic tension, doing more contractions can actually make things worse. So if you experience things like chronic pelvic pain, pain during ejaculation, constant urgency to urinate, difficulty relaxing, you need to get evaluated first. Because in those cases, the issue isn't weakness, it's over-tightness, and the solution is completely different. So don't skip that step if something feels off. Now let's take this 1 step deeper, because this is where it becomes powerful. Once you've built basic control, you can start integrating this into real life. Not just exercises, but actual moments, walking, sitting, working, even during intimacy. Because the goal isn't just to train these muscles, it's to control them without thinking. That's when everything changes. That's when you go from reacting to being in control. And that control, that's what creates confidence. And confidence, that's what transforms your entire experience in the bedroom. Now think about this for a second. Most men are chasing quick fixes, supplements, shortcuts, temporary solutions, but they're ignoring something fundamental, something inside their own body that can be trained, improved, and mastered. And once you build that foundation, everything else becomes easier. Your performance, your endurance, your control, your confidence, it all connects. So if you've been feeling like something is off, like you're not performing at your full potential, like your body isn't responding the way it used to, don't ignore it. Because sometimes the solution isn't complicated. It's just hidden. And now you know exactly where to look. So start simple, stay consistent, focus on control, and give your body the time to respond. Because this isn't just about exercises. This is about unlocking a level of performance most men never reach. And once you feel that difference, you won't go back, and trust me, this is just the beginning.